3, 2, 1. Yes. History in the making. Welcome back to Living Color with Matt Woodward, episode 20, and the last one here for the foreseeable future in Morrison, Colorado. And today would be Friday, July 31st, 2020, and yeah, this is it for me here in Morrison. It appears to be my last day here at the house, and it's been quite a journey, I'd say. As you even saw probably in the last one there, where I tried to, I started off doing one of these little deck episodes, and then camera ended up damn near breaking 5 minutes into it, and I was just like, you know what, I can't do it. I can't risk it, you know. But here we are. This is it. The last episode in Morrison. And it's only right that it's episode 20. You know, I wanted to make sure, you know, that I kind of reached that episode 20 mark, and, you know, not only for the year 2020, but I just feel like that's kind of like a good benchmark to leave the house at, you know. Get like the first 20 down and really kind of get my foot in the door, I guess, and you know, kind of started here, at least, you know, making my journey west last April, and as we know how much the world has changed since then, and you know, it's becoming like a, you know, now that I'm trying to find like a new place, and with everything that's happened, that, you know, like, well, you know, live events happening, you see sports are back, but, you know, not without fans. You know, there's no fans in the stands, and it doesn't seem like there's going to be, at least, you know, in certain sports, and even in the NFL, it doesn't, you know, they kind of make you sign a waiver, I believe, you know, when you buy tickets from Ticketmaster for, you know, certain games, like, you know, hey, just so you know, this game could be canceled, postponed, rescheduled, no fans, anything. Just to let you know when you're buying these tickets. And it's like, man, there is just, I don't want to say it's bleak, but I mean, it is, obviously, we know that, but I think even with this, like, I'm trying to find like the positives in finding a new place to stay. Really, it's a struggle. You'd think it would be a lot easier in 2020, but it really isn't. And well, I mean, I don't think it's easy in trying to move in a pandemic. It's not really easy trying to move anyway, let alone in the middle of the damn coronavirus. You know, but you gotta find a way, I guess. And you know, like I was saying, you know, I'm just happy to be doing one of these little deck episodes there, because that damn wind, man, it's still kind of acting up on me now. Like, I was wondering how I was going to do this, because I was like, man, I got to make sure I do at least, like, the final episode on my last night, you know. Or not, like, the final episode, but the final episode here in Morrison, episode 20. I got to make sure I do it, you know. And then I saw the storms roll through. I'm like, shit. Like, I don't know if I'll be able to use the deck. You know, might have to do it inside again. But, you know, I really want to do one of these, like, little deck ones again, because it's just classic for me, you know. And a classic view, right, with the red rocks and all that in the background. And I don't want to say after a while you get used to that kind of view, but I think, you know, when I was, you know, having worked at Red Rocks last year part-time as a camera operator, and now seeing it, like, and having that as like a job, you know, making money off of it, or making money as like a second job, you know, and now seeing it like with no shows, nothing happening for obviously this up until now, and for, I don't want to say the rest of the year, but just to see it with like nothing happening, like, it's, you want to talk about depressing. It's like, man, like, it's like, there's, just to think of last summer and then till now, it is such a crazy change of time, right? Jesus. I don't even know how to describe it. Like, last summer, it's like you had amazing shows every night. right? And I'm working 3 or 4 shows a week, and just to see nothing, and just to see it all be postponed or canceled until next year or whatever. And it's like, you just wonder how Red Rocks is like a different scenario, in a different situation than most venues, just because they're city owned. They're owned by the city and county of Denver. But you just kind of wonder, like, how are some of these music venues gonna survive this, right? Like, it just doesn't seem possible, especially the smaller ones, like the under 250 seats or whatever. I mean, you don't even know how can you do it. I mean, there's obviously those are small, spaces and clubs, but those are just as important, as the big venues, because sometimes that's how, like, bands gain their following, is through, like, those tiny little clubs. I mean, obviously, now it's more so the internet than, being found in small clubs and building a fan base that way, but it's just as viable. And now it's, I mean, you think about, like, the people, not only the musicians, like, damn, what are they gonna do? Are they gonna continue to make music, put out music, try to plan on coming back next year with shows? Then you think about, like, even just like the bartenders and the security at venues. It's like, what are they doing now? I mean, you can't really just get a job right now, obviously. I mean, you couldn't really get a job in April, let alone in end of July or early August. So, I'm not trying to be too bleak to start this off, but it's kind of just telling you how I feel, like, just seeing, like, Red Rocks. And I mean, obviously that's probably that view right there is one of the best views of all time in the history of the world. Right there you go. That's it right there, right here, baby. You're watching it for free. You're looking at it for free for 40 minutes plus. But yeah, man, we're ready to roll, ready to hit the road. That's one of the things that's, like, stressing me out, is just not having a permanent solution or a permanent stay right now, like, that I'm going to. Right now it's just kind of, what's looking like is just doing, like, an extended stay, maybe at a hotel for a week or two, trying to, like, buy some time to find a place, because I couldn't find anything that was, I mean, I found things in my price range, because it wasn't really about price range. It was just where I'd want to be, right now. You just don't want to be on top of random people, living in apartment complexes. I mean, and that's not to hate on people who do live in apartments and all that, because that's definitely an option for me right now. But I think that's one of the last options for me, just because when you live in an apartment complex, I feel like, it's not just the people who live above you and below you or whatever. It's the people in the entire complex. You're living with, like, 100 or 200 random ass people in, like, the same building, or, like, the same, like, adjoining buildings, or, on, like, a lot, whatever. It's like, there's so many people around, and you don't know how everyone's relationships are going, or personal lives are going. And it's like, man, do you really want to deal with that? Not to say that you really have to deal with it, because, I mean, obviously you can find ways, but it's like, you just don't know what people are thinking or feeling right now, just because there's so much uncertainty in the air, right? It's like, people don't know what to think anymore. I don't know what to think anymore, and even now, like, that's why it's like, fuck, like, of all times to be going through this, like, during a pandemic, and just be like, well, you can't really do this or that, like, moving back to Vermont. I do love Vermont, and I've always said, like, Vermont, I don't know what's going on with this, but there we go. I always said, like, Vermont it's special, obviously. It's where I was raised, not born. I was born in Plattsburgh, New York. Shout out to Plattsburgh and upstate New York, North Country. All my North Country folk, but being from Vermont, it's like, that's a special place. There's really no other place in the country like Vermont, and you're seeing it right now. They're whooping COVID. Of all states in the country, Vermont is whooping COVID's ass, I mean, and I'm kind of surprised to see it, just because I thought it would, knock on wood, not because I don't want to see it, obviously. But I just thought, it's an elderly majority. I don't know how to say it right, but, there's a majority of the population there is elderly, and you just think it would, like, COVID would be like, oh, God, like, Vermont, you better buckle down. But they're kicking its ass, and they just had like the first. I mean, I think they did just have the first death in like a month the other day, which is a little like, okay, all right, maybe they're not kicking ass, but they're trying, and they're making more progress than like what most places are doing right now. And there's not really much to like. There's obviously a ton to go back to, but right now there's not many solutions, because you can like move back home, right? But you gotta have like a job to go back to. You gotta have a place to go to. Because my parents they just finalized their divorce. As sad as that is, because I love my parents, I love my mom, I love my dad, and they just, I think they were trying to work on it, but it just didn't work out, I guess, and so they just finalized their divorce. So my dad was like, I think it's kind of in jest or whatever, but he's just like, we're gonna be selling the house too, so like as long as if you can just move back in at home, like, you gotta find your own spot. If that were to happen, it's like, that's what I'm trying to do anyway. Like, I'm not trying to move back into the house, but it's like, I would definitely try to find my own spot. And I'm not keeping Vermont off the table. I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not, because it's definitely somewhere where I want to be when I'm older and going into retirement stage of my life, I guess. Either that or Maine. I think I was talking about Maine on the last episode. It's either Vermont or Maine, really, for me. Like, I think if I ever reach that elderly stage or retirement stage, just the two tremendous states. And I'm just a New England kid, I'm, even though upstate New York, and I'm just that whole area. Like, that's me, I love Colorado, and I love the West or whatever, but I haven't really explored as much as I want to, and especially now, it's like I had grand plans for the summer. You heard me talk about it probably. I was like, oh, I'm gonna try to do this and that, and oh yeah, and then it's like, oh, that fell through. That didn't work out. So it's like like I said, I'm not keeping Vermont. I'm not just like, all right, that's not an option, because it certainly is, and I'm not gonna say this is gonna be an option by the end of the year, because I'm gonna be in Colorado by the to the end of the year, it looks like, and unless things really go south. But that's another reason why it's like I didn't want to sign up for an apartment, because it's like you gotta do the 12-month lease. I know some places do 6 month or month to month, but most of them are 12 months, and if you break it, there's the penalty and all that you gotta pay. And so it's just like I don't want to sign up for that. I'd rather just try to find something where it's I can kind of be out at any time, because obviously that's not as stable as you want to find, but right now nothing's really stable, especially just in the West, it seems. I mean it's in the entire country, really, but it's like just nothing's really stable around here anymore. And it's like there's not much that keeps me from having nothing out here, it seems like. It's like I'm more than thankful to still have a job, really, and still have something to go to, and like still be making money, and it's been tough to even just do that, like going through all this shit. But like you can't let that affect you, I guess, and that's been tough. But yeah, I'm thinking about a lot of things, I guess you could say. But I think as tough as it has been to like remain positive or whatever, because I always used to, or not used to, because I still say it, I'm always like, gotta be positive, you gotta just be happy and positive, you gotta be thankful, blah blah blah, whatever the cliches are or whatever, but you gotta try to remain somewhat positive. And some things that I'm like thankful for, like, because there's people that I'm like what would I do without my parents right now? Because they've been really helping me like through this whole thing, just kind of like talking me through. This is what some of your options are. Extended stay was really, that was something that, that was kind of like my initial thought was like, all right, if I don't find anything like right off the bat, maybe I'll try to do that. It's not the best option, but maybe I'll try to do the extended stay. And once it was once you don't really hear back from places, or they're like, oh, well, you already found someone to move in there. It's like, all right, well, now it's starting to become a reality, really. And not to say it's like a bad thing, but you would think that these places would be like cheaper, or like would do something to help people out during this time, like not to, I don't know, to make some sort of money, because you always just pass by some of these like extended stays, and it's like there's not really many people there, and I mean, some of them are $60 a night, and you're like, oh, $60, that's not bad. Like, oh, it's money, but it's not too much money, right? And then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, all right, $60 a night, but the monthly total will be $1,450 before tax. And then you're like, all right, what's it after tax? And they're like, $1,680. And you're like, all right, $1,700 for a fucking hotel room for a month? Are you joking? Like, at an extended stay? Like, this isn't like a 5-star hotel I'm staying at here. It's not as if there's strippers walking. There's nothing out here. Like, what do you want me to do? I got like a fridge and a bed, and a TV. I already got the TV. What are we doing? So it's like, man, there's gotta be some sort of something, right? But and also I'm just thinking, like, man, I think like even cabin, like a cabin rental would be perfect. Like, that's what I was really hoping for, because there was one that I applied to that was like a cabin, not really far from here. I think it was like 15 minutes from here, so sort of in like the Indian Hills area, I think, like sort of like 15-20 minutes from here. And I was like, man, if I could get that spot, that's like the spot, like it was perfect. I had like a little loft, and it was just one bedroom, one bath. It was like, oh man, like a little cabin. The posting said views all the way to Kansas or whatever, because it was on like kind of like a little mountainside. And I was like, man, that's it. Then I got the email the other day where it was like, yeah, it's already taken. I'm like, oh my god. So, just kind of manage it, I guess. It's a struggle. It is a struggle. But that's kind of what I'm thinking. I always kind of want to like talk about what I was thinking kind of before I moved out here, and what made me want to move out here, and like what my thoughts were when I initially got here and all that. And it's like, I wasn't really, I was thinking about certain states though, that like what places would I want to move to, because I was living at home for what was it? I graduated in 2016, two and a half years, coming up on 3 years. I was about to be turning 26, and I was like still living at home with my parents. And I'm like, I had a decent job where like I could have got my own apartment and would have been fine, like could have afforded it. And because I had, I don't usually just have one job. I try to have 2 jobs for a situation like this, where like, I mean, not to say that I planned this shit out because of a pandemic, but I just try to have 2 jobs always. You always try to have multiple forms of income, right? Multiple streams of income, they say. And I'm no business major or whatever, and I'm no finance major. I don't know that, but I just know it's like common sense. You got multiple forms of income, right? So I was just like, man, I need to make a change. Like I love Vermont. I love being with my parents and all that, but it was just like, I'm trying to be a man. Like, I'm trying to be a young man. Like, I'm still young. I'm in my prime. I'm not meeting any girls. I'm not gonna have a girlfriend living at home with my parents. Like, what am I doing? So I started kind of looking around, and what I was doing back in Vermont was I was working in TV, and I still am now. And at the time, I was a newscast director and photographer at a station in Vermont. And I liked the job. It was nothing really with the job that I didn't like. I was just unhappy with like where I was at. I wanted to take that next step in my life, and I'm like, there's got to be something. Like, maybe I'll continue in TV. Like, I'll try to find a job somewhere in TV that pays maybe 16 to 18 an hour, and then maybe I'll try to get a second job once I get that job and find a spot. And hopefully it's affordable. And Colorado was always kind of an option, but it wasn't always like my main option. I applied to like a director job at a ABC station in Eugene, Oregon. And I got the job. I just didn't have the money to make the move. And when was it? This was 2000. I think it was 2018. Yeah, early 2018. And even throughout, it was just like, I had, they offered me the job. I think it was $16.50 maybe, directing in Eugene, Oregon. I'm like, Eugene's a great little college town. Like, I've never been, but you do the YouTube, like, driving around Eugene. You kind of get to see what it looks like a little bit, and the Nike World headquarters are there, University of Oregon. It's an hour and a half from Portland or whatever. So it's like, it's right near the coast. So like an hour and a half from the coast, or, from the Pacific Ocean, the Oregon coast. It's like, why, that would have been great. It's like, that's where I want to be. I think, especially with me making music, it's like, I kind of like the moody weather, kind of like Vermont has moody weather, so it's like, that's perfect for me. My creativity would be great. And then, it's, when I didn't really expect to get the job. I like interview well with jobs and all that, but I just didn't really expect to get it, I guess. And once they offered it to me, I was like, man, am I gonna make the move? I only have like $600, $700 saved up. Like, I don't have anything, and I just, I pussyfooted it or whatever. Didn't make the move. Didn't do it. Had to turn it down, and then I would do the same shit. I would just apply to other jobs. Similar jobs. I got offered directing jobs in like Roanoke, Virginia, Savannah, Georgia, Charleston, West Virginia. Like there was a bunch of them. Somewhere in Florida, I think Sarasota, Florida, right? So there was a bunch, and I just never really. I would apply to these places and be like, like I'd think in my head like, oh, okay, then maybe that's where I want to be. Maybe like that's it, I guess. But I just think deep down, I don't know. Is that really where I want to be? And I don't know. I don't think so. And then, I just didn't do it. Didn't make the move, and so that ended up like making me like regret things. I'd be like sitting at home, February of last year, 2019. And be like, fuck, man, I just denied these jobs all over the country. Now you got to wait for another job somewhere that you might want to go to open up. And hopefully that pays just the same as what you've been offered. And now you finally have money. Will you have money when that job opens? It was like all these dumb questions and shit that you're thinking through. Like that doesn't really need to be thought through at all, right? It's like, it doesn't really add anything. And so I'm like, just freaking out over nothing. And, having years experience making music as WDY, and playing shows at Higher Ground back in Burlington, Vermont, and Nectar's, and I only played Nectar's once, but it was my very first show in December 2013. Or no, excuse me, December 2013, or December 2012, I believe. Because I remember I played August 2013 at Higher Ground. Either way, I'm just playing shows around Vermont, right? You have like music experience, right? And I had TV production experience, working as a production assistant, master control operator, director and camera operator, with NSN back in Vermont, Northeast Sports Network, and Vermont Lake Monsters. So I had I had the experience in a multitude of production aspects, right? Like in video production for live events, sports, music, all this, right? TV. So, I'm like, all right, I got the experience, but I don't have as much money. I'm still living at home. I'm a little weary, like, do I make the move? Like, am I ever gonna make the move? I don't know if I'll ever make the move. Am I gonna be one of those kids who never leaves like their hometown or whatever? Like, just this is where I'm at. I've already done pretty well. I'm only 20. I'm about to be 26. Like, this is, I've done a lot. Now, I know y'all saw my reflexes out there, right? Damn, that rain came quick. As soon as I saw these raindrops, I was like, nope. I grabbed that laptop, I started running. But even still, that was only like not even 3 minutes, 5 minutes ago. It's like, damn, the weather just changes so fast. I've said it a million times before, and it looks like it's gonna change again. Like, it could rain again, but this is the last damn podcast of Morrison here, and I'm getting it in. It doesn't matter how long, and how long it takes. I'll be out here till it's fucking dark if I have to, right? I'll be out here sitting at midnight. I'm gonna be like, yeah, so when I was in St. Albans, and so yeah, man, I had to do this. I'm not stopping. We can't stop. I'm trying to go for a while too, and I'm only just going really off the top of my head. We're almost at a half hour here, so we're rolling. I want to get this one to 50 minutes, at least because I got a lot to talk about, man. This is a special place for me, and like getting back to where I was at. It was sort of like February of last year, 2019. I was, like I said, I was trying to find what my next opportunity would be, whether it's still going in TV production or this or that, and I had all the experience I needed or thought I needed for whatever was going to come my way next. I had no idea. I didn't know it was going to be out here. And then I was just scrolling through Indeed one day, like I was doing for forever, and I just saw the city county of Denver, like what was it, part-time camera operator and support technician. And I was like, part-time camera operator, support technician, city, county, Denver. Let me check that out. I don't think it said part-time on it until you actually followed through the links and all that, and it tells you at the bottom like job description. It's like part-time or whatever, But even then, I was like, camera operator and support tech for city and county, Denver. Let me check that out. Didn't know it was gonna be for Red Rocks, and then, right as soon as I clicked on the Indeed link, it was like, providing multi-camera coverage at Red Rocks, and I'm like, are you, and like camera operator at Red Rocks, like the amphitheater, like the concert venue in Colorado? Like, I was like, hell yeah, I'm down for that. I'm like, but what's the experience with that? Then I saw it was like 3 to 5 years, just video production experience, basically, and then some, concert photography experience. The thing was, it's like I don't really have concert photography experience. I've played concerts, I performed at concerts or whatever, and taking some photos side stage or wherever I was in the crowd, after, maybe because I'm not a headliner, I'm an opener, at least in this stage of life right now. Maybe one day I'll get to the headliner spot, but so I didn't really have a concert photography experience, but I was like, I have plenty of video production experience, live production experience, whether it's in television, sports, and even just music, setting up my own shows and stuff, and knowing what you really need for like lighting and what you need to put on a show and sound wise, and even just all that. It was like, what, I'm gonna go for it. I'm just gonna apply and see if I even have a chance, and then a couple of weeks went by. I think it was like late February, and I believe someone from city and county in Denver, I don't know if it was it was one of those, I don't know if it was HR or something, but I got an email saying, we'd like to invite you to an interview session. That'd be on one of 2 days in mid-March, and we'd there's like certain time slots where people will be coming, and we'll just be giving kind of quick interviews, and then just being like, all right, you get the job or you don't. And I was like, man, what do I do? It's part-time, that's like a dream job. Like, they want me to interview for Red Rocks. Like, I might just interview, might as well, right? So I'm on the fence about it. I wasn't really sure. I was like, Denver sounds amazing. I've heard amazing things. I've never been to Colorado. I had never been to Colorado before this, right? And I'm like, all right, sign me up. I'll do the Tuesday session. It was a Tuesday session. So it was like Monday, Tuesday. And my work schedule as a director at this station in Vermont last year was Wednesday through Sunday, like 3:15 to 11:45, right? Wednesday through Sunday. So I knew I had like those 2 days, Monday, Tuesday, and those were my days off. And it was like it worked out that those were the days where you would interview. But it's like, man, I can't just fly to Denver, right? Like I can't. I don't know if I can do this. And I started looking at the plane tickets, and the plane tickets are like, $600 or so. And like this is kind of like coming up to it. I've already kind of, after a few days, I had accepted like the, to do it on like that Tuesday. And I'm like, all right, well, I need to. If I told them I'm going to interview for the position, I need to get out there. I need to buy a plane ticket. I'm like, I obviously, classic me, I stall for days, wait till the very last day. The day before I have to fly, buy like a $700 plane ticket, whatever it was, round trip. Which now thinking about it, I mean, even before coronavirus, it's like I paid like $700 for like one day, just to interview basically for the Red Rocks job. And so I buy the plane ticket, and I tell my parents what I'm gonna do, and they were supportive. They're like, if that's what you want to do, you gotta go for it. Especially like Colorado, like if you want to do that, Red Rocks, like I didn't really know much about Red Rocks. We knew of it. We all knew of it. I mean, everyone kind of knows of it, and they've kind of seen the classic rock formation, right? But you don't really know. I didn't know what I was kind of getting myself into, and so yeah, hop on the plane that Tuesday or that Monday, because I flew Monday. Right? Yeah, flew Monday, arrived Monday night. This was like March 12th or something of last year. That Monday night, I have my little hotel downtown. The day's in right near the Ogden Theater, downtown Denver. There, right on Colfax, sort of near the right across the street from the Ogden, and then right down the street from the Fillmore. So where I was staying, where I stayed one night there. 32 hours in Denver or something like that. So it wasn't very long, but it was unreal. It was a wild time. But was even wilder was like getting off of the plane. I had booked with like Expedia, right? So I had booked like the bundle or wherever, where you get the hotel and you get the rental car. And I was 25 at the time. I hadn't turned 26 because I was turning 26 in May. And this was March. So I haven't turned 26, and I know there's like this whole thing where if you're gonna rent a car, you have to be like at least 26, I believe, or 25. I think it's 25. And if you're 25, it's still like a penalty or whatever. And I didn't have a lot of money on me at the time. I only had a couple $100 maybe, So I land, and they tell me like they're like, how old are you? Blah blah blah. I already paid. I believe I already had paid for it. This was kind of, I don't know how, I can't really remember because it was just last year, but I feel like so much shit has happened in between. I'm like, it's all just flying by me, but, I believe I paid because it was a part of the bundle, right? And, so I arrived at like the gate to pick up like your rental car, and the guy was telling me, he's like, yeah, since you're 25 or whatever, and it's going to be like an extra $110. I was like, I don't really have $110 extra to be spending on like a fee for this fucking rental car, dude. I just spent like $700 total to get here. And he's just like, well, I don't know what to tell you. If you don't have $110, like you're, shit out of luck, basically. I was like, so what do you want me to do, dude? I mean, like, that was a nightmare. Because I'm on like this, the Denver airport. If you've been in the Denver airport, not only is it massive, and you can't even believe how massive it is. I didn't know how far away from the city it is, too. It's like a whole fucking world away. It's like 40 minutes from the city, 30 minutes from the city. And so I'm like, I didn't know that. I thought we might be close. So they're like, yeah, just take maybe a shuttle back to the main terminal and try to find a Uber or taxi or whatever. So I'm like, I guess. And then I take like the shuttle back, and I met like this really nice lady on the shuttle. I can't remember her name, obviously, but she was awesome, because I remember I took it, like, I think she brought me there and then brought me back to the main shuttle, and I was solo on, like, the way back, and I was telling her, like, yeah, I'm here for an interview at Red Rocks tomorrow, and, I don't know anybody, obviously, and, like, I just thought I was going to rent that car, like, I had this all planned, and now it's falling through, like, I was kind of freaking out, and, so it took me, like, a while to, like, kind of get my bearings, but even at like the airport, it's almost impossible to find help or like someone for help, right? And it's like, who do I ask? You almost don't know. And so I had to like ask someone at like one of the, South by Southwest or whatever it was, American Airlines. And I was like, could you call me like an Uber? I didn't have Uber on my phone, which was probably a dumb move to go to a city and not download Uber or whatever. And I think I was trying to download it at the airport, but it wasn't like loading on my phone or some shit. It was like I literally couldn't do anything. So this lady behind like the one of those desks at one of the airlines, she literally like brought me outside onto like the islands where all the taxis were waiting, because I didn't know that's where like it was on like another level. It was like the second or third level, and that's like where all the taxis and cabs were waiting. And she basically just walked me up to like the van cab she saw, and she's like, "How's this one?" And I'm like, "This one looks good to me." And I hopped in. It was kind of like this African guy, because he had like this like thick accent. He was super cool. He was bumping the music, and I was just like, "Dude, I don't know where I'm at. I don't know what's happened. I don't know how I got here. Just take me to the nearest weed store, man. I need to buy." This is like 9 o'clock at night, like 8:30, 9 o'clock. He's like, the stores are closing soon. And it's like, I don't give a damn, man. Just take me there. It's been a long day. I just sat at that damn airport for another hour and a half after I landed. Like, I landed like on sundown. I remember I flew into Denver at like sundown, and then like by the time I left, it was beyond dark. It was like, seemed like it was like midnight. It was like, I'm never gonna leave this airport. I might just sleep here. This is where I might be. And little also did I know that I could have taken the freaking train into the Union Station for like $7. But that was a whole other story there. So I get to, he brings me to the weed store or whatever. There's like Burger King next to it. Burger King was closed at like 9 o'clock on a Monday night. I'm like, what the hell is going on out here? Then he brings me to the hotel. The hotel is forever away. It's in the middle of downtown. And he tells me the cab ride was like $80, $75. And I'm like, dude, I have $50 cash. And like that's what I got. I'll give you that. I'll give you $55 cash and we'll call it even. And he's just kind of I think we developed like a little repertoire or whatever. We were like we developed like a little friendship there real quick, and so I think he hooked it up for me. And because I was telling him like, yeah, I don't really know, I'm out here solo just trying to come for this interview. I'm not really sure if I'm gonna get the job, this and that. And so he kind of was just like, you know what, sure, I'll you know what, we can do that. We'll call it 60 or whatever. It was like 55, 60 instead of like $80. And it was just like, dude, thank you so much. Got into the hotel. Met up with one of my friends there, old friend Joe Humes. Shout out to Joe, wherever he's at. He came through the hotel because he's a friend from back in the WCAX days, And he was just in town randomly that night. I think he was at like an Avalanche game. And I was hoping to go to the Avs game that night because I was like, man, if I get in town in time, I might be able to go to the Avalanche game. I'm going to land at like 5. The game's at 7. I'll be able to get to my hotel. And like, I was just delusional. I had no idea. I was like, I'm going to do this and this. I might go out after. And all of a sudden, like, I'm sitting at the airport, like, fucking damn near crying, like, at this island cab rental spot, So, yeah, the next day, I walked basically from the hotel room that Days Inn across the street from the Ogden all the way down to, like, City Park. Trying to think of what the building is called there. It's not really important. It's just like one of the city buildings, just for for the interview. And I walked into the interview and I'm like, I don't know where the hell I'm at. I could be in any building. You could tell me I'm in freaking anywhere, right? The Sistine Chapel. I'd be like, okay, this is where I'm at. I'm like, okay, this is it. And there's a ton of people around me. Like most of them though aren't like dressed up. I'm coming from Vermont. I literally had my backpack. That's all I had. I had my backpack, my laptop, my headphones. What I made sure to bring though was like dress pants, a little dress shirt, and a tie. you know, and like literally, I swear, over 70% of the people weren't like dressed up. They were just in like normal clothes, you know. And I'm over here just like in a little time, like from Vermont. I got my little bag, got like we got the weed in the bag too, so it's reeking. I can smell it, you know. I don't really smell good, but I can smell it. I'm like, I wonder if these fucking people can smell this shit, man. They have to. They have to. And the thing that really kind of scared me, I think I even took like a selfie after like the first round, because there was like multiple stages of the interview, right? There was like 3 different stages. You know, I just saw people being denied left and right. You know, I just saw people being let out of this big room, this like conference room, and they're just like, you know, thank you for your time. Like they're like this lady will lead them out and just be like, thank you for your time. You know, we appreciate it. You know, unfortunately, we're not going to offer you the position. We'll keep your resume on file. Like the generic answer, but that's what they're telling. They're telling easily, more than half of the people there that, you know, they're like, you know, thank you for this and we appreciate it. And it's like, oh my God, did I fly from Vermont to Colorado to apply for this job, to interview for this job, and then just to be turned away like this? Like, you know, thank you for your time, this and that. It's like, you know, there has to be more, right? Like, this can't be right. So I go into the interview and like I see there's like 4 or 5 tables, like big tables, and there's like 2 or 3 people at each table. And they're like, go to that one over there. And it was kind of in like the left-hand corner of the room, like this big kind of conference room area. And I'm like, okay. Like, I'm a little nervous. You know, obviously I'm walking up to this table. I'm just kind of, you know, there's like this kind of older guy sitting in like the center. You know, I wouldn't say older. I don't want to disrespect him. But, you know, he's just kind of like, he just looks like a grizzly veteran. You know, like he's been in the business for a while. He knows what he's doing. He doesn't take shit from anybody. You know, he has like that hardy look, like he's not fucking around, you know. And then there's like this, you know, nice young other lady there. She's cool and she's hanging. This nice woman there. She's like smiling, like, hey, you know, like all that. I'm like, okay, like I don't know what to expect. And that was like the first stage of the interview. You know, they just asked you like a bunch of questions, like, so I see you have some music photography experience. Can you explain that? And I'm like, yeah. So I perform shows and, you know, I produce music, and, you know, while I was doing that, you know, I would set up shows. So I would, you know, take photos of other, you know, acts that are playing the shows with me. You know, I would do this and that, and, you know, not like bullshitting, but kind of bullshitting, but because, you know, I would take some photos of, you know, like people that I played shows with, but, you know, I didn't play enough shows to be like, yeah, I have a credible experience doing that, you know, but I had a ton of experience in general. So it was just like, okay, you know, but not only do I have that, I have all this experience in TV. You know, I'm kind of like trying to shift it a little bit, and they're kind of like they're like, okay, but, you know, the guy, he's kind of like, but how does that, you know, tell me how that relates to like music, you know? And it's like, well, that, you know, like you gotta have to bring it. He was kind of bringing me back. He's kind of seeing through it, and that kind of made me, you know, it was a little nervous. They had like a packet of questions. I remember it was like 2 pages. It was like easily 20 questions. It was like front and back. I remember the front was full, obviously. Back was probably half full, right? It was probably halfway down, like that many questions. And they would write down they would each write down like your answers, kind of, you know, or like what they thought of your answers. Like, you know, seems genuine. Like, I remember seeing like some of their comments, like, yeah, like, has the experience, says it's with this, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay. And they're like, all right, I think, is that it? Would you like to would you like to add anything else? And for me, it's always kind of been like a staple. You know, when an employer, if you're in like an interview and someone asks you, like, do you have any like questions for us? Like, would you like to ask us anything? I'm like, yeah, you know what? I do. Like, the main go-to for me is like, what are like 3 characteristics that you look for in like the perfect employee? Like, what's something that you're looking for in your next employee here? Like, what do they want? Like, give me 3 things. What are you looking for? And then like that, because when you hit them with that, it's like, it kind of gives off the perception that not only is this fucking guy is like ready, he's been thinking about this question for a while. Not only he doesn't want one thing of that, like, what's the most important thing? He doesn't want one thing. He wants 3 important things about an employee. Like, now it makes them think, you know? Now you're putting them on the hot seat. And you were on the hot seat for 10, 15 minutes answering all these random ass questions off the top of your head that you're not really prepared for, or thought you were prepared for, but it's clearly not what you thought they were going to ask you, you know? And so I'm like, you know, like, yeah, I do have a question, actually. What are the 3 things? So I asked them that, and they're kind of like, well, you know, we need reliable. Someone's got to be this and that. You know, we need this. And I'm like, yeah, I can do all that, you know. I kind of reinforce it. I'm like, absolutely. Oh, that's understandable. And then like, do you have another question? I think I must ask something else because I usually come in with a couple, right? I don't usually just come in with like. It's always like the staple to have the 3 characteristics or whatever. That's like my classic question, but I always have like 1 or 2. And they're like, all right, is that it? I'm like, yeah, I think that should be it. And they're like, all right, thank you for your time. And then I shook their hands and all that. And I felt good about it. And I remember like they let me out. And they're like, all right, just wait here. We'll be, I remember like when they let me out, my heart was like racing because I was expecting the lady to be like, okay, thank you for your time. The generic answer that I was hearing from every single person there get pretty much. And they're like, all right, just wait here. We'll be right back. We'll lead you into the next room. And then I remember when they told me that, I was like, wait, really? There's another step. Oh my God, I'm not about to hit the next step. And I remember I took a selfie, like just like past stage 1. And I remember like the second step was like meeting like the directors, I think it was like not the directors, but it was like the main bosses of like Red Rocks and the Levitt Pavilion. It was like the main bosses, like the directors of it. I mean, director holds like multiple titles, obviously, like TV director, but these are like the directors of operations or whatever. I don't know if that's their exact titles. I don't believe it is, but that was kind of like the meeting, and they were asking just questions about the camera. They have like the standard camera that they would use, and they're like, do you know how to like use one of these? Have you seen one of these before? I'm like, hell yeah, I use one of these for baseball and like live, this and that. And I'm like showing my excitement and all that, and they're like, so because I put like, you have to put down like where would you live or this and that, and because I told them I was like, so you're trying to move from Vermont? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Like, are you looking for places around here? I'm like, well, I'm looking in Castle Rock, this and that. I think I might try to find a spot there, maybe move. And they're like, all right, yeah, that might work. And they're like, so if we offered blah blah blah, like, would you accept it or whatever? I think that's what they said, and it was like, hell yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry, like, absolutely. And they're like, all right. Like, I think that's when I believe they offered it to me, like then, or like they advanced me to the next step, which was like doing the paperwork. And they're like, all right, well, we're gonna have you fill out the paperwork, and we'll get things rolling. We'll sign you up or whatever. And it was like, really, holy shit, like I couldn't believe it. And then do the paperwork, and one thing that killed me about the paperwork, there was one of the most beautiful girls I've ever seen in my life. One of the most beautiful women I've ever seen in my life. I don't even know what to call them. Girls, women. It's women. I don't know why I say girls. I'm 27. Women. One of the most beautiful women I've ever seen in my life. And I was like hitting it off too with her, and she was just my type. I was like, man, that should have been my wife right there. That was my wife. But I remember just being so thrilled, like, I got the job, man. But being like, okay, but I got the job offer, so am I gonna accept it? It's part-time. And I remember kind of like, I remember leaving there, and this was like, I think it was the Hancock building downtown. I believe that's what it is, or Hitchcock. I think it's Hancock though. I remember walking from there, which is kind of like across from the Capitol, so from like there all the way to like View House Ballpark, because I was like, what, I'm gonna go drink after this. I'm gonna go get a brew. And then, I can't really afford another $80 taxi, so I'm gonna try to find a different route. And then all of a sudden, I kind of heard about the train, like people being like, "Why are you doing the taxi? You just do the train. It's like $8." I was like, "What? Really? Like you can just do that?" I didn't really discover that, so I went to View House, sipped a couple brews there, right across from Coors Field, and then I was just kind of like walking around, just kind of. Remember there was like a Nuggets game that night, and they were playing on TNT. I wanted to go to that too, but obviously it didn't. I was delusional. I was like, man, maybe I could catch that before I could, go for my flight. Because I remember I had like it was a red-eye flight. So it was like I don't want to say 11, but it was like 10 or 11 at night or something like that. It was very late, flying back to East Coast, so I could, work that afternoon. Or, that Wednesday afternoon. And, so I remember, like, just getting to the Union Station. Yeah, I remember just pulling up to going to Union Station and having a brew there, and just seeing like people like dancing and having a good time, and like live music was playing, and like it was kind of like barnyard dancing or whatever, like square dancing. I'm like, what is happening around here? I kind of loved it though. Everyone was happy, having a good time, and I was feeling great. And I was about to take the $7 or $8 train from the from Union Station to the Denver airport, and I hopped up the train and sent it to the airport. And then once I got to the airport and got on, I I was feeling pretty good, and there were some other people who were feeling like they were kind of making way more noise than I was. Like I was keeping to myself. Obviously, even though I'm drunk, I'm not like, ah! But these people were. They were like, hey, because I think they were like swingers or something. There was something was going on, and they ended up being like sitting next to me on the plane, like this one couple, and the other couple was like right across the aisle. So they were all right there, and they were way drunker than I was. I don't know where they were coming from, but they definitely seemed like they were swingers or something, because they were causing a ruckus. And I remember I was so like I had like, I don't know how many beers I had, but I was feeling great, obviously buzzing hard. Just smoked a couple joints on the way, or I smoked like my last joint. I remember like on like one of the little platforms there, on like the train platform. I think I lost another one around there too. So if you ever found that and smoked that one's on me. But I remember these swingers. I was like, man, I'm dying for water, and you know how long the car takes. And I remember just being like licking my lips, being like, man, I need water so bad. And I remember like kind of saying it out loud, because I've eventually end up starting talking to people, because I'm buzzing and they're buzzing. They're like, hey man, like they eventually said something to me. I'm like, hey, and we get to talking or whatever. And eventually, I think I just mentioned, I was like, man, I am dying of thirst. Like I need something. Speaking of which, sip this real quick. I'm like, even though it is Aquafina, I'm dying of thirst, right? I'm like, man, I need something. I need some water. And the couple directly next to me, goes, we have water. We have a Nalgene bottle. And they're sipping out of it. They're like, take a sip. Like, you can have a sip if you want. I'm like, you sure? Like, really? I need it so bad. And they're like, yeah. Take a sip. I'm like, fuck yeah, all right. I take the water bottle. I don't do I don't put my lips on it. I do one of the little pours where it's like, like we're barely in your mouth, like, and I do the pour. I give it back to him. I'm like, oh, thank God, that felt so good. And then I remember I gave it back to him, and then not even 5 seconds later, I was like, man, I needed that. And then the girl was like, do you want another sip? And I was like, yeah, sure. And I remember I took the bottle again, did the same thing, sipped it just like this. And as soon as I took the second sip, poured it, and as soon as the water hit my fucking mouth and throat, this chick goes, oh yeah, I just got over the nastiest cold too. And I just kind of stopped sipping. I gave it back to her. I was like, what? You could have told me that before, while laughing and all that. But I remember I immediately felt that shit hit me. Whatever she had fucked me up, man. Because it was a red eye, so I think the combination of me, drinking and not really having a lot of food, having traveled the day before and now flying back at a late time, not really sleeping too much and putting my body through it all, I think it was just the whole thing. It was my first time in altitude this high, it's it hit me so hard. I remember it really wasn't till, when was it? Yeah, it was it really wasn't till when we landed and I got home. I remember on the way home I napped and I woke up and I was like, I don't really feel great. I remember the next day or two I developed this canker sore or something like that, right on your lip or whatever. And I was a little worried because I was looking it up. I was like, what the fuck is this thing? And you couldn't pop it or anything. It was painful, and it was brown and it was disgusting, right? It looked like a fucking herpes or something. And I looked it up. I was like, is this a fucking herpes? What is this from a chick's drink? And that's why I think they were swingers, because I think it said it was like a canker sore, and that's like of the herpes virus or something like that, like some sort of thing like that. So I was like, this fucking chick gave me a herpes, and they must have been swinging. I know they were, because they were really like, they were they were all over the place. So it was like, they were flirtatious, but it was a wild trip, and that was like a wild way to cap it, really. And I was like, man, like, it took me, I think I still have a scar from that, because I was like right here, and I must have been walking around for a month. Like my last, probably before the last couple of weeks, like that last month or so, I was walking around with this disgusting canker sore. I wouldn't even want to be out in public with that fucking thing. But it just kind of goes to show, it was like, yeah, I ended up accepting the job. I gave my 2 weeks, and I remember my heart was pounding to give my 2 weeks, and it was like April, like 4th or something like that, and I was gonna give it for like April 19th, and because I remember that Saturday it was like 4:20, and I was gonna try to send it by like the next Saturday, so I had like a week off or whatever. And remember, I was like, my heart was racing, because I was gonna have to tell my news director that I was gonna try to move on and accept a job in Colorado. And after he gave me like the director job in what was it, September? So now I was leaving in April, so it was like 7 months, which really isn't long, but it's kind of, it was enough. It was like enough to kind of make that move, where I was like, I got the experience, I know what I'm doing. I could keep doing this shit back blindfolded, but it's like, I need to take this opportunity. I need to, not only did I want to do it for my career, but I was like, you know what, I'm not meeting any women at, like, while I'm living here, and especially while I'm living at home. I'm never gonna meet my wife living at home. It's like, I don't think I'm gonna meet her like in Vermont. Maybe I will. And there's not to say there's not amazing women that I wouldn't mind being with, like, down the road or in a relationship with, but back home in Vermont or from Vermont, because there are. But I was like, man, maybe I'll meet somebody. I have like that feeling, maybe I'll meet somebody out here. And that was part of the reason. I told him, I was like, you know what, not only am I trying to do it for my career, I'm trying to do it so I can meet somebody and, like, change my life a little bit, And he understood, like, he was accepting of it. And my parents were too. My parents were super supportive and acceptive, and they couldn't have been more better, like, with it, honestly. And it was tough to leave home, man. I remember that last day, and like a lasting image. Like, I remember just taking photos of, like, with the car and all that, with the house in the background on 79 Brigham Road there in Old St. Albans, and just being like, yeah, this is this is it. This is my last day home. I remember, like, getting in the car. The car's all packed now too, so it's sort of a similar setup. The car's stuffed to the gills over there, and getting ready to roll. And I remember just, like, looking back and see my parents hug as I was leaving the driveway. And I was like, man, what am I doing? I was like, where am I going? Like, am I leaving for, like, am I making the right move? And I'm getting emotional thinking about it, because it's like, that's the last time I've seen my parents, and, that's the last image I have right now. I mean, obviously they're still alive, thank God, and that's like, kind of brings me back to, like, why you need to be thankful, because it's like, man, like, for all the shit I'm going through or have been through in life, it's like, there could be a lot worse. And, like, I need to realize, like, I still have friends and family here with me, and who are trying to help me and who want to help me, and so that's why I was like, man. But just seeing them, like, just, like, do, like, a long hug. I remember I just, like, looked back. I was like, I wonder if they're walking in. And they just sat there hugging. I was like, man, this shit killed me. And it's, that's why I'm like, so I'm now ruling out Vermont. Honestly, like, getting back to that, it's already been almost an hour now. And, I told you I wanted to make this one a long one. I'm going to try to keep going. It looks like the sun's starting to come out a little bit. It looked like it was going to rain, but now it's coming. Looks like the sun's starting to shine. And, I wanted to make this, like, a special one, because this is the last one in Morrison, man. This is it for me. Right? This is a special town, man. And I didn't find this easy, because once I accepted those jobs, and, I still had to find a place to stay, and it took me a while. Like, I didn't know what to do. I was like, maybe I'll try to find an apartment. But the rent was so high. Everything's like $1,400, $1,500. I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that. So I was just doing Facebook. I I'd just post in a couple Denver housing groups on Facebook and be like, hey, I'm Matt, I'm moving out for a job at Red Rocks, and I'm getting a second job, and I need a place to stay. And a couple of people would message me being like, oh, I have a room in my apartment for $1,000 or this and that. I'm like, yeah, I'm interested, but I might as well just find my own place at that price, and they'd be like, oh, I understand, just let me know. And I get a few of those messages, and I was like, all right, well, maybe I have something. But then one day, this random ass lady comment on my posts, and didn't really look real because her picture looked all blurred, and I was like, who? She had one picture, couldn't really access her profile, and she's like, I have a house in Morrison, that I'd rent to you. I'm never really home. I live right across from Red Rocks, basically, and you can stay here. And I'm like, all right, that sounds like the best thing to me. Living in Morrison, right across from Red Rocks, and that, maybe I'll go with that. And I messaged her back, and I remember being like, I don't know if she's real though, because her name sounds real, but I don't know, her pictures and all that. I remember she was like, call me then, this time. I remember calling her at work one day. It was a Sunday afternoon, a week or two before I was going to move out here. And we were finalizing it, because she was like, I have to know by this time. I remember calling her. That was I remember talking on the phone with her for 30 minutes and being like, yeah, I guess we're going to do it. And I was like, yeah, we eventually talked her down, because she wanted $1,000 too to rent a room. I was like, $1,000's a little much. I can do 800, 700, and then do yard work and all that. And then she agreed. She somehow agreed to that, and then do a deposit. And that's where it began with Susan Young. Shout out to Susan. I don't really know what happened with her. I think she's going through a lot right now, mentally, because she's, I don't know. It's the reason she didn't really give me a real reason why she's kicking me out. Kind of. She's not really kicking me out, but kind of kicking me out. She wants to find a different living situation. Because I'm only paying $700, or I have been, here. And I told her I was willing to pay $1,000, $1,200, even up to $1,400 to continue staying here. I was like, I want to work this out. I'm down to have someone live downstairs. I'll pay. I just want to be here. And she's just like, nope. You need to go. You need to find a new spot. And it's kind of all right, I can't help you. You can't help someone who doesn't want to be helped. But she helped me. I wouldn't know where I would be if it wasn't for her, commenting on my posts, right? She's special, man. She was at one point. And I didn't know what to expect moving out here. I remember the drive across the country was amazing. There was 2 different routes, and the one I went through it was Indy and St. Louis, Kansas City. It was a few different cities that I had never really been through. I had been through Indianapolis, but not really. And Kansas City I'd never really been through, and St. Louis never been through. But going through all those places and doing it in a couple days, and staying at rest stops along the way, these truck stops. I think the first night I stayed right outside Buffalo, and right outside Erie, Pennsylvania. Really, it's kind of right in between, somewhere along there. One of those little rest stops there. And then from there, I went from there to Terre Haute, Indiana, all in that next day. I remember I was like, all right, I can't sleep in my car again. I slept decent in Buffalo, but it was downpouring that night, and it was just a little rough. So I was like, it's not bad, but I'm gonna try to get a hotel. So I got a hotel in Terre Haute. Woke up the next day. I sent from Terre Haute to I don't know if it was somewhere in Kansas. I can't remember what. It was something the hill, some part of the hills of Kansas. It was these famous hills of Kansas. I remember staying at this rest stop the next night. And I remember waking up at 3 a.m. It was so cold. It was freezing. It was 30, 40 degrees at night. A frost on the windows. I was like, what in the hell is going on? I put the heat on the car, man. It's Jesus. But that's what you gotta do. That's what I had to do. I knew I was I can't get a hotel every night. It's that's a lot of money. Even now, that's why I'm oh man, extended stay at a hotel, it's gonna be a lot. And I've done the car before. I've slept in the car before, and it's like I'm not really trying to do that now, just because the uncertainty of times, and you don't know what people are thinking and where they're at, and they might be in the same scenario and might be more desperate than me. But even then, it was like when I was sitting it, like it's like maybe this isn't so bad after all. Like I know I can make it. I drove across the country, and I remember arriving here, meeting Susan, and she greeted me at the door with a beer, pretty much. She had like a Reds in her hand, and she greeted me at the door, and it's like, I'll never forget that, man. Like I said, she's special, and I'm sad to see like that. We had like a falling out, I guess. I didn't fall out. I'm still good, I think. I'm not even really like mad at her. I'm like kind of mad, but I'm just like, his life, and I was kind of waiting for this day to come, really. I've been kind of expecting it, because it's like this place in the winter wasn't bad, but we didn't have plowing, and there's no garbage service. Like it was a little rough at times. Not gonna lie, it was a little rough. But yeah, this place, it's been amazing. It's been special, man. Morrison, Colorado. I've done a lot here. Just even working at Red Rocks, like so many shows. Like, jeez. Where do I begin, man? Like Lionel Richie, like Greta Van Fleet, Flume, man, Billie Eilish, like it's just so many, and like there was some that like that Anderson .Paak right in my fucking face from 5 feet away, like all these guys, man, dozens of shows and. Disclosure, I could keep going, man. And even meeting Aaron Rodgers. I met Aaron Rodgers at Red Rocks, right over there. I met Aaron Rodgers over there last summer. You believe that? Got a picture with him and everything. Told the story, I'm filming the show, and I see the phone there, and I already know he's already next to me. I told you I saw him walk in. I'm like, holy shit, that's Aaron Rodgers. And I see Danica Patrick with him. I'm like, that's Danica Patrick too. And they're literally from me to the camera away, probably closer than that. And then, when they're in the show, they're in the Trevor Hall set, I see the phone there, I pan the camera, zoom in on the friend, on that guy FaceTiming his friend during the Trevor Hall set, and, the director takes my shot on the big screen, the crowd goes wild, and I look over, Aaron gives me, like, the thumbs up or whatever, gives me, like, nod and thumbs up, like, that was dope. And then, after the set, he's chilling by himself, and I went up to him, like, dude, you're a legend, and I started talking to him and all that, and the rest is history, asking for the pic, and then he's like, no, I'm going to go to the bathroom, and then I go to the bathroom 10 minutes later, and then I see him, like, kind of waiting to go up to the, through the famous Red Rocks tunnel, and with his drink in his hand, and they're like, yeah, and then I was like, dude, what are you doing just chilling down here? And he's like, yo, I'm waiting, they won't let me up, we got drinks and stuff, I guess, and you can't go up with drinks. I'm like, I remember I asked the security, I was like, you're not letting them up with the drinks? She's like, no, we can't. Drinks aren't allowed. And I'm like, you don't know who that is? It's Aaron Rodgers, and that's Danica Patrick right there. And she's like, I don't care. It's like, all right. But just there's so many memories like that. I signed the Red Rocks tunnel. The famous tunnel. I'm so thankful I did. I signed it a few times. I'm not gonna lie. If you ever visit that tunnel, you'll see my name not only once. You'll probably see it. You'll probably see Matt Woodward like 3 to 5 times, maybe on the tunnel wall. You'll definitely see WDY on the tunnel wall at least 3 to 5 times. So I was just signing everything, and man, working at Red Rocks, just doing this here, like I've done so many deck sets and shows. Like I filmed a couple, because I'm trying to do an upcoming film, like I mentioned before, for my next music project, which I believe I'm going to call the Free Modern Generation Band, or Free Modern Generation. That's my next music project title or name, and the title of the next albums are In Between Me and the Free 1 and 2, which should be out this year. And I'm trying to do a film with that. I'm trying to do a little short film with it. Maybe not even a short film, kind of like a mini Song Remains the Same, but not really like with the Madison Square Garden performance. More like a performance from a Morrison deck with the Red Rocks in the background. And it's just various shots like living in Colorado and some of my experiences here, So I'm just trying to do a bunch of different things, and I've done a bunch of different things here, man. Like doing shrooms on the deck, that was pretty wild. That was a good time. I must have played guitar for like 4 hours straight. I remember I couldn't like feel my fingers after. I remember I had like you know how when you play guitar, like, you know, it gives you like string indent in your finger. I remember it was so like deep, and I was just like, wow, what? Looking at it, and I was like, couldn't really feel my fingers, but it kind of works. Like, grew up like the callus or whatever. But did also come up on some shrooms recently that we won't talk about. But yeah, maybe do some of that soon. But even still, this isn't like the end of what I'm doing. You know, this isn't the end of Living Color for me. Like, I'm gonna continue on. Like I said, no matter what is next. You know, the next shows will probably be from a hotel room, is what it's gonna look like. But I'm gonna try to make it fun and interesting and look good, because, you know, I have finally some lights. You know, not only do I have like the main like lights for a show, but, you know, I actually have some cool colorful lights out. Finally, I'm gonna add in, and, you know, I'm excited to like see where the road takes me. You know, it's kind of it's hard to envision now, just because with these such uncertain times, it's like, man, you know, I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave this spot. This is perfect, but, you know, there comes a point in time where you gotta go. You know, and things will get better. You know, and you have to kind of trust the process in a way, like the 76ers, right? You gotta trust the process, even though that's obviously easier said than done most times. Like it's a little tough to see now, just because it's hard to get a spot. You know, it's much harder than I thought, like I mentioned. And I've had such a great time out here in Colorado, and you know, just having people come through. You know, I've had like some friends out here. You know, shout out to like Tim Halverson. Shout out to Timmy out there. He came through to Colorado, came through the house. He's seen it, and, you know, it's just it kind of sucks that this is happening right now. Because, you know, I don't want to say, like, you know, if we weren't in the coronavirus pandemic, that, you know, I would, you know, still be living here after. But, you know, I think it's certainly possible. You know, I'd still be. Certainly, might even be working a show tonight, you know, like a night like tonight. You know, and it's like, that's what really bums me out. It's like that. There's really not even like a possibility for a show right now. It doesn't seem like it's possible, you know. At least, you know, and like what it was, like 10,000 people. Like, who wants to be around that many people right now, you know? But it's just like, Morrison's a special place, man. This town. I'm still trying to find a place around here. You know, it's not as if like I'm done with this town. It's not as if I'm never gonna come back here. You know, it's not as if I'm, you know, never gonna visit, or like, you know, because there's special places here, like the Morrison liquor store. You know, I've been there so many times now, as bad as that sounds, probably. You know, like the lady at the Morrison liquor store. We've had great conversations, and I'm sure she doesn't know I'm leaving. You know, I haven't seen her in like a couple weeks now, so she's probably wondering where I've been. But, you know, I'll probably just stop in maybe tomorrow or something this weekend and be like, hey, yeah, I'm leaving. I'll be around, though, because I'm still going to be around. Like I'm saying, like, no matter where I'm going to be at, I'm still going to come to Morrison. Like, I'm still going to go to the, you know, Tony Rigatoni's in the Rooftop Tavern. Definitely going to always go to the Rooftop Tavern. It's one of my favorite spots. If you're ever in Morrison, Colorado, check out Tony Rigatoni's in the Rooftop Tavern. No ad here. This isn't an ad. This is just, they're just tremendous. It's a great place, a great vibe, great hangout. You know, some of my favorite special times for me, you know, because most of the time it's just been me here. You know, I've been living solo here for most of the majority of the time. You know, some of the best times I've had were like hanging out at the Rooftop Tavern during Broncos games this past season. You know, because for Broncos home games, you know, it's a fucking party up on the Rooftop Tavern. You know, the place is packed, and, you know, when the Broncos score, they hand out free Jell-O shots to everybody in the bar, and, you know, it's literally like a Sunday afternoon party. You know, I'm almost getting emotional thinking about it, because it's literally like family party atmosphere. It's like, you know, the windows are open, you know, the music's going, you know, the games are on. It's a great time. It makes you like appreciate where you're at, and like be like, man, like it doesn't get much better than this. You know, now everything's just completely different and gone, you know? And that's why I'm like, you know, it sucks. It's like, I know Morrison's, like, everything's better than what it seems now, you know? I know everything's, this is an amazing place to be, and it just, when you're in a pandemic, like I think I mentioned before, everything's kind of equal, right? It's like, everything's sort of the same now. You know, like, we're all, you know, everything's the same. You You know, like all the cities, like what's the point of living in a huge city anymore, really, right? Like what are you paying for? And that's why I don't really want to sign up for a lease in an apartment complex, because it's like, who knows if I want to be living in Colorado in a year. Like, I love Colorado, but you know, like I said, Vermont's an option. Everything is an option right now. And it's not even Vermont. Like, I'd like to go to a state where I'm not being taxed to death. You know, I'd like to live in a state where there's no state income tax. That'd be great. You know, I don't know if Florida's the answer, or you know, Texas maybe, but like, you know, I don't know. Just, I'd like to live in a state where there's no income tax. It'd be great. But like, you know, like I said, Morrison's just a special place, man. And you know, there's a lot happening here that like you know, not that you don't see, but you know that I don't know. It's kind of cool that it's nicknamed the nearest faraway place. You know, I didn't know that, and it's like, it kind of makes sense. It's like Morrison's like I don't know. It's so strange that it's like close to the city of Denver, because it's only like 20 minutes away. You know, and you're just in the town's not even 400 people. You know, yeah, I'm gonna miss this place, man. They're like all the animals running around. I'm sure you've seen it before. They got freaking bunnies and rabbits running up the wazoo. They're running by the camera around here. You know, we had little birds grow up. I think they're those birds right there. The ones that, I don't know if they just flew by the camera. I don't know if that was them or not, but you know, they grew up like in the past few weeks. And they were like, you should have seen them. You know, like we had like this one bird. I think I mentioned before. I nicknamed him Mr. Bird, right? And I would always be like, Mr. Bird, you know, make a little noise, and he always chirp back, you know. And I would be, Mr. Bird, you know. And then all of a sudden, that bird had like little chick. I don't even know what they're called. Little baby birds. And you know, I saw them, and so I was like, I think that bird had babies or whatever. And sure enough, look at, they're right there. I think that's one of them right there. You know, they're great, and that's what I'm saying. Like, just like they were not flying 2 weeks ago. Now all of a sudden they're freaking flying around trees and shit, and they're moving. You know, I had to save one flew in the house a couple weeks ago. Last week, one flew in the house. And I had to try to get him out. It was great. It's been an adventure here, man. This is a spot. Like, this view will never get old for me, you know. I hope I can always come back and, like, see this view. You know, because this, like I said, this place has been special. I made music here. I made After Today. Pretty much, not the whole album, but more than half, I'd say. Around half, if not more than half, out here. You know, and I've made all of the, you know, Free Modern Generation first and second album out here. And you know, I've been playing guitar. I've gotten way better at guitar out here, and like writing and doing vocals and trying to sing a little bit on some tracks, because I feel like I can sing, you know. Got that little Robert Plant in me, yeah. It's my Led Zeppelin. That's my Led Zeppelin intake there. You know, I've been bumping a lot of Zeppelin lately. You know, I'm playing everything lately. You know, I'm just trying to draw inspiration from everything, but you know, I almost don't want to end it. You know, I almost want to keep this going. You know, we're already damn near at hour and 20 minutes, and it's like, this you know, it doesn't get better than this place, man. It really doesn't. You know, I wasn't sure what to expect when I moved out here. You know, it was like, you know, I didn't know what the house would be. I didn't know what the room would be. Never visited Colorado, and like I said, so much has happened. Like, I feel like just. It's tough. It's crazy that in like not even 6 hours, it's like it's over. You know, this place, and I think I'm obviously thankful Susan gave me the opportunity. I'm also like thankful that I started this whole show. You know, that's big. I needed to get the ball rolling in a sense. But, you know, it's been magical, man. I can't say enough. It has been magical. it has been a ride, and it's not over yet. Like I said, we're not done yet. I'm probably going to do another episode this weekend. One of the pluses about being a hotel, I haven't had TV or Wi-Fi out here in forever, so I'll probably have, I'll actually have TV and Wi-Fi, so I might be able to, go live or something on YouTube, because I can't really go live now. I'm just always pre-recording these shows, so I'm trying to look at the positives of everything, I'm trying to look at the best of things, right? And this has certainly been one of the more memorable places ever be. This spot right here, 3712 Walker Road, Morrison, Colorado. This has been it right here. Or 4th Street, 3712 4th Street. It's always like that weird thing. And we don't have a mailbox here, so I never could get mail. I always have to get mail at the post office. That little red building down there is the post office, and so that's the spot, and this has been the spot for me, man. I cannot believe it. Oh, wow. And wow, you can see like a plane flying through the mountains like that in the clouds. It's amazing. It's like big sky. Like, why would you want to live in the city, man? Right? Like I said, every place is equal. And like, why would you want to live out in the city surrounded by people and buildings and all that, when you can live like out here and still be 20, 30 minutes away from Denver, right? Just like, this is the spot. The nearest far away place, man. Morrison, Colorado. And I'm excited to see, what happens after today, July 31st, 2020, where life is going to take me, how long what I'm going to do next. I don't know what I'm going to do next. I have plans, a lot of plans, but all those plans kind of go out the window when you're in a pandemic that no one's ever been through, really. And, so I'm excited to see what happens next. But I'm thankful. I couldn't be more thankful for my time here in Morrison, Colorado. It has been phenomenal. I love it, man. This has been I didn't really know if I could call this place home, but this has been my home, and I'm thankful for it. I'm excited to show more of it in like a film, in like the, in between me and the free film and all that, trying to come up with it here. That might not even be the name for it. That's just the name of the albums, really. So I might try to come up with something else, but definitely going to show shots of like, the whole surrounding area, really, because I've been filming it like this whole past few weeks, really, just trying to jam as much as I can, because this whole place, like I told you, this place is special, man. And like, you don't get a view like that every day. So I've been trying to film as much as I possibly can. And I'm making the most of my time, and I think I've made the most of my time here, and I like to think I have, And yeah, I cannot believe it is over, man. At least here, episode 20 in 2020. I'm so thankful to have started Living Color, man. I can't believe it. I started it here in Morrison. Created after today in Morrison. And it's amazing. It is makes me sad, but makes me happy. Makes me look forward to the future and where we'll be next. And we'll see you soon next. That's for sure. Like I said, I'll be coming back to you hopefully before the end of the weekend with another episode. Hopefully you even watch this all the way through, because this one's probably my longest one yet, which makes sense, and it's only right since it's the final episode here in Morrison, Colorado, and the final deck episode, obviously. But yes, this has been it, man. Morrison, Colorado, 3712 Walker Road, or 4th Street. Morrison, Colorado, 80465. I remember that for the rest of my life, hopefully. What a treat. What an amazing time. Amazing 15 months, I believe, out here in Morrison, Colorado. I appreciate you guys watching episode 20. Thank you so much. Thank you for bearing with me through almost an hour and a half of this. I had to get a lot off my chest, and there was a lot to go through, and I think I touched on just about everything I wanted to. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you for hanging with me here in Morrison. And I hope you continue to watch along with me as we go through the next phase of life together, hopefully. But yeah, thank you, Morrison. Thank you, this house. Thank you, 3712 Walker Road. I'll never forget you, ever. Susan Young, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Even though we had a little rough patch at the end, I won't ever forget what you did for me, ever. But yeah, like I said, thank you guys for watching and listening wherever you've been. This has been episode 20 of Living Color with Matt Woodward. We will see you next time from a new location. But for now, this has been Morrison, Colorado's version of Living Color. And that's it, episode 20. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We'll see you soon. Take care, everybody. Thank you. Take care. Thank you, Morrison. And thank you, Susan. Take care, everybody. We'll see you. Peace.